What are some really bad common life choices? Focusing on buying your first house property as an owner-occupier. Keep renting where you live, purchase a separate property, and rent it. In my country you get a tax deduction for the mortgage and any costs associated with maintaining and renting the property. Buying and living in your first property just sinks you into sizable debt. Renting a property out gives you a passive non-work income, and depending on country tax laws, a deduction on your work-related income. Doctor, I regret buying a house instead of 2-3 cheaper properties or apartments I could have bought for the same money. I know people will say boo to this, but going hard on alcohol and cigarettes. Saw it kill my family, and in about a decade my mother, her mother, an uncle, and so on were all dead from poor lifestyle choices. That maternal grandmother had emphysema after years of chain smoking, and months before dying she told the nurses, "It feels like I'm drowning. And oh my god, I had asthma as a child, but all of the adults smoked a lot around me despite telling me and my nanny to take caution I don't get sick from this or that." What even? An unhealthy lifestyle is the worst lifestyle. It fucked up everything, my health, my schedule, everything. I am facing a lot of issues because of this. I've become deficient in vitamins, and facing regular pain in my body. The hospital became my new home. Not only my health, but due to this I've missed my deadlines, facing issues and coping with my work and mental pressure along with all these things. Happy since after tried to change it. Nowadays, at least I am recovering and feeling good. Make friends just because you don't have any. I don't mean the kind of friendship that is made when you're in elementary school, but when you're about 13 or 15 years old and stick to relations that aren't good for you. One can be lonely even among people. It's better to be alone than to be with bad company. If you find someone or some people who you think are like you can try to befriend them, but if it is a necessity or you are forced to be friend with someone, don't rush on it. Follow your dreams. Sure, it can work for many, but most of my friends that did follow their dreams ended up having had a rough time on the job market with a not relevant degree. Sure, if you are extremely talented, have a plan B, or understand the risk you might take to go for something, then do it, but just don't blindly do it. Try to plan for a middle way where you can make enough in a job you don't hate to do the things you love in your spare time, and build from there. Getting kids or getting married because their friends are doing it, or because they feel that is what they need to do to be a real adult, or because it is expected. I am related to 2 women who never actually liked kids but got kids anyway. One to make her husband stop working abroad, and the other one because it is expected. They have been less than stellar as mothers. No abuse, but not much love, affection or attention either. 1. Drugs. 2. Having kids without marriage. Statistically, the number 1 predictor of female poverty and welfare dependence is whether or not she had a child outside of marriage. 3. Going to a university more expensive than one's parents can afford. 4. Marrying under age 25, without a bachelor's degree, when one's income is below $50,000 per year, or to someone whose parents are divorced or never married. Just following common daily routines expecting that the world will change. This is what the vast majority of us do, and we expect different global environmental results. We keep doing the same thing, and we will all suffer an environmental and socio-economic collapse. If we don't push and force the corporations and governments to pick life over money, nothing will change. Having kids before you do some research, have the funds, and make a realistic, solid plan. Practicing with those babies from high school sounds silly, but if more men and women did it and tried to keep the thing fed and happy while living adult lives and not the ones they had in high school, this may change a lot of misconceived ideas about how child rearing actually goes. Getting married to someone while ignoring red flags. Choosing to have kids with someone while ignoring red flags and or ensuring you are economically protected. Having casual sex with someone without 2 forms of protection. Dropping out of high school. Getting into drugs too much. Not thinking about the economic returns for your choice of degree before you choose it. Those gigantic drugs. What the actual fuck are you doing with a monster truck as your daily driver? Yeah, you will think you're cool, but it's unlikely you're maximizing your best years for compound growth in your IRA 401k 503b, or creating a stock portfolio that will generate an annual salary and dividends by retirement. Fuck it, monster truck. Not following through with things. I have a friend who has spent 8 years in university education pursuing different degrees and didn't finish any of them. Now he has had issues for not having a college degree. He also always has questionable business ideas that perhaps could turn out to be okay, but he quits after 6 months every time. Man shrugging, spinning frivolously. that iced coffee a couple times a week, the trips to the vending machine at work, the drive-through dinner, etc. all add up to a lot of money. My ex-wife would always wonder where the money went but refused to consider those little daily expenditures as a big deal until her house went into foreclosure. Staying in relationships that aren't happy to avoid being alone. See it all the time. Spending all day looking at screens, whether it be video games, social media, streaming services, etc. It's not healthy mentally or physically. Procrastination. Spending money on status items with credit cards and loans. Living above or at one's means. You really should be living below your means so you can put some money each month into an investment and not accumulate debt. This is possible for most people, but it takes a willingness to go without some things you want to have now for a better long-term future. Getting into and staying in relationships that are bad for you. Also rebounding too quickly after a breakup or divorce. Why do so many people do this? It may sound negative, but I'm pretty sure the odds are high that rebound relationships and marriages aren't going to last long. Not challenging yourself. The excuses people live off are pathetic. Seeking validation in the wrong people or just strangers. Not realizing long-term goals are required for a happy life. Being overtly confident in your own opinions. Everyone should feel a degree of doubt. Having kid before you are financially stable very young made that mistake. While I love my daughter, it was not the right time. Her dad wanted another while we were still renting a one-bedroom flat. I had grown up a bit by then, so totally vetoed it. He was bad life choice too, from my own experiences. Starting to smoke specifically tobacco, but that also works with weed. Quitting sport, never exercising. Not going to bed early enough. I fixed the first two now, didn't think sleeping enough would be the hardest of the three, haha. Not being your own medical advocate. So many people choose just to go with whatever treatment a doctor deems, even if it may not be the best option. Reminder: you hired the doctor. So don't you think you should have more say in what happens to your body? The more common seemingly small decisions that I find bite you. Constantly eating out is a convenience to avoid learning to cook. Expense builds up over time, probably not as healthy. Not wearing condoms. Not flossing your teeth. Having a child, children when they're not entirely sure whether or not they want children. To anyone who's reading this and currently in two minds, it's probably better to regret not having children than regret having them. Staying with someone when the relationship has run its course, even though you know you should leave. Also, trying to get back them just weeks after a breakup, worst idea ever. People don't change that fast. Picking an expensive private college with a major that has little or low paying job markets while you amass massive sums of debt. This is worse if you dorm for the same thing or for the experience. Having children when your current life circumstances dictate that you really shouldn't be doing this. Not changing or looking to improve your poor circumstances once you actually have them. Going into debt for cars and or buying houses you can't really afford. Going to college without an economically feasible plan. Addictions, drugs, porn, food, whatever. Toxic relationships. Neglecting relationships, failing to invest time and effort in maintaining relationships with family, friends, or partners, which can lead to loneliness and a lack of support. I can't stress enough how important it is to be educated. Complete graduation. Learn some skills, analytical, arts, math, research, and anything that'll help you earn money. Loaning money to friends or family with any amount of expectations that you'll be paid back, despite saying, if when you can pay me back is fine. Don't worry about it. Putting yourself into too much bad debt trying to impress the wrong kinds of people. The types of people that matter are the ones not impressed by materialistic lifestyles. High school dating. Seriously, it fucked up lots of people. Better focus on education, get a degree, then get an actual job, and only then you can try to date people. To make no plans for the future. Whooping it up as a youngster and then, whoops, I'm retired and have no money. How the fuck did that happen and what do I do now? Sitting too much. Sit at work, coming home and sit on the couch. You need some form of sport to be active in your life to maintain your health as you grow older. 1. Drugs. 2. Poor long-term financial decisions. 3. Staying in toxic relationships regardless of gender. This can go for anyone. 4. Staying in bad friend groups. Having kids because you're afraid you might regret not having them. Picking an unsuitable person to have kids with. Repeating the crap you grew up with. Losing contact with the people I cared about because I'll just message them tomorrow instead. Tomorrow never came and now the relationships are dead. Having kids while unemployed, too young, unprepared, unstable relationship. Or even worse, having kids as a seeking plaster for a failing relationship. Going to university only because you think you have to. For some people it is a good decision, but it is not for everyone, and there are other options. Going to college just for the social experience and not treating it like career building footprint with the intention of graduating with a job. Gambling. Gambling is frowned upon, yet it's also advertised everywhere. All it takes is one losing streak to make you go back to square one. Becoming a parent because it's what people do, not because you actually want a child to raise and love. Parenting is not for everyone. This is probably an unpopular opinion here on Reddit, but dropping out of college. It can work for some people, but mostly it doesn't. Choosing to stay afraid to try instead of trying. I know your comfort zone is comfy, but you're passing on whole things in your life. Laziness, procrastination. Had my fair share, trying my best to change, hopefully I'm not yet too late to alter the course of my life. Getting pregnant with someone you don't even know. If you want to have sex with strangers, more power to you, but use birth control. Common bad life choices include excessive substance abuse, chronic procrastination, and neglecting mental and physical health. Having more kids than you can afford. Having more kids than you can adequately provide the attention and quality time they need. Unfortunately, having kids. Too often people are not emotionally or financially prepared to be good parents. Not having the will. Getting married and or bringing a child into the world at a young age unless you have a steady and sizable income revenue. Expensive cars with high interest financing. Crazy how people can pay more than $400 per month on a car before insurance,